have a quorum soon now, that's good. So I guess the first thing we'll do is take a look at last week's minutes and everything, and if you have the motion. That's a problem with a second.
Last month.
You've been.
I will make a motion to approve the minutes as presented from the August meeting.
Second. Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, moving on then, treasurer report, you didn't take care of it? Okay.
You don't have a whole lot on your income side. Of course, you've got your income from your CD with mutual, the 291741. And you got $31.22 interest on the actual account, checking accounts. On the expense side, you have your $38 for your QuickBooks subscription, your $5 statement fee, $125 to the accountant, $37 to Evergy, and then we have T3 did work at Urban Hayes and Gary Carlson. So the $13.25 and the $11.50 of those payments to him. And that is it. And you guys did agree on your CD that matured. It is now $248,000 CD for 7 months at 4.1%. And I'll get Greg's signature as soon as we're done. So. And that was it for your financials.
On the, is that the last month of the season or?
He'll probably do one more.
Any questions? I'll think of it.
I'll make a motion to approve the financial statements as presented.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Move forward, Lisa?
Hey, projects and needs, if you notice for August, we are up. Project activity has increased, and I was just telling the LTDC board that 2 weeks ago I was in Texas for a Team Kansas event. We were having lunch with some site consultants, and one of the site consultants did say, although he had seen a pause in project activity, he was starting to see an uptick in activity, and he had talked to several businesses that said, we know there are going to be tariffs now. We may not know what they're going to be, but we need to move forward. So it seems like that might be what's happening. And as you can see, I have several new project leads that came in for August. You can read through some of those. The 4 of them, only 4 we did not submit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of them came in August. 4 of them we do not submit. And just for comparison, lately I've been getting 2 or 3 maybe in a month. So you can see the increase in activity. And two of the 4 that I did not submit for needed rail, and 2 of them needed a building we just don't have. Project Centaur, 4th one down, that is when we did submit the Leavenworth Business and Technology Park for it needs 50-acre greenfield site to construct a facility for a medical, where they're gonna produce a medical device. And so it's 1,000 employees. So we submitted that last week. Project Tunnel, this was a Missouri service operation interested in moving operations into Lansing. And so I have met with them, working with the client, the city of Lansing. It looks like that one's moving forward. And then Project Timber, this is a developer that has come in and was interested in doing a project on a private property in the Linwood area, and just asked me for some information on TIF districts. So I provided some information, and he also asked for some legal contacts. So I provided some of that for him. We've kept in conversation about once a week we're talking. And he's looking in Linwood, but other areas in Leavenworth County as well. Project Brown is a recurring project that has come back from 2018. He's interested in revisiting a mixed-use development on his property in the city of Tonganoxie. And so I've been working with him again, having conversations about once a week, and working with the city of Tonganoxie on them. And then Project Mars, sorry, that's the defense manufacturer looking for 1,000 acres. That didn't, without residential nearby, and so I did reach out, I did find. At first, I didn't think that that was gonna be something that we could submit for, because it needed housing, but then I started thinking about the Tailgate Ranch and thought. It has some housing, talked to some of my executive committee members about it, and so I did reach out to Paul, who is at the Department of Commerce, and said, hey. Would this be something we might submit this property for? And he said, well, it won't work for that one, but then he brought me another one. So now I have this even bigger project to work on as of today. And so as far as ongoing projects, the couple that I would mention, Wolf Creek, that one came to me through the Department of Commerce. And I was able to help facilitate a meeting with a couple of the county commissioners and Mark Lockery and their counsel, Misty Brown. And then they went, their next step, they went to the Board of County Commissions, was it last week? And went ahead and gave their first public discussion about that. It's for a battery, I always forget that the E stands for. The initials for this type of industry are BESS. It's a battery something storage system. And they have a property in the southern part of Leavenworth County that they are looking at. I think it was less than 30 acres, right next to a substation. This is a system of separate battery storage systems that holds energy. They take energy from the substation and hold it for when we are running low and they need to use that.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say about that, Commissioner Steves?
No, I'm sure the presentation and, yeah, they did a good job. It's interesting how they do it. It's not solar and the other stuff that we've seen going on, but how this is becoming kind of common. And it looks like a pretty promising project. See how it goes.
Yeah, as I understand, after she talked to the county commission, the representative was gonna go and talk to some of the neighbors around that. And then have a community event. So I asked her if I could be informed of that. I haven't heard anything yet.
Absolutely. And the last thing you want to do is surprise neighbors.
Right.
Surprise people. And
Okay.
they've been down that road before, so I'm sure that's where they're headed.
Okay, and then the other one that I've had any recent activity is Project River. It's on the back. That one has come to us over a year ago, I think. And they're looking for some space for an energy plant. So I just chatted with them and they're moving forward. They're still working on their funding issue. These are just some of these projects take a few months and some of these projects take years. It's just the nature of how this goes. Unless you have any other questions about my projects and leads, I'll move on to some other items. Right? Let's see, I don't wanna go ahead and do this. Okay, so marketing events. So in the last month, I've done a couple of different things. I mentioned the Austin trip, where it was facilitated by the Department of Commerce and several of the Kansas communities went there and we sat and we developed those relationships. Because as much as we would love for these site consultants to come and visit Leavenworth County, they won't, and we have to go to them sometimes. So that is one of the trips that the Team Kansas puts together. And I told you about that. Let's see, I've got three more trips in October. Most of the months I have either had one or no trips, and then in October they all came at once. So we are at the second level of investment for Team Kansas, which is $5,000 a year, and that gets us. And then this year I've gotten 6 events. So and they are national events. We'll be going to Nashville, which is a new market, and then also Indiana and Chicago, which Chicago we've done several times. So that's a kind of a site consultant hub. And then Crew, I'm attending a couple of events for Crew, which is the commercial real estate women's group in Kansas City. And then Thursday, SIOR Development Day. Again, I'm gonna mess up the acronym. It's industrial office. Yeah, okay, thank you, Mark. And so they, it's like a trade show at the Union Station. Hundreds of booths, and usually we just go hand out cards and talk to developers. This year we have rented a booth, so we will be there hosting, I mean, not hosting, but representing Leavenworth County. So we will have some posters of some available properties, and I'm gonna have the computer with the monitor showing some video of some of the drone footage of the parks, and hopefully draw some people in to talk about what we've got available here in Leavenworth
I think
County.
it's a good idea, Lisa, have your own booth, and you bring them in.
I looked, I think we're the only economic development organization this time. If we are one of two, everybody else is, realtors and industrial, commercial developers. What were you gonna say?
As you go to these national meetings, are you seeing companies from the West Coast, East Coast, where there's the insurance is impossible and land is high? Are you seeing them looking more toward the Midwest?
Well, funny you should say that. I don't always know sometimes, I mean, when I go to them, like when we go to Austin, the site consultants that we meet with are from that area.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, and then same in Chicago, they work out of that office, so that's
They're already in the central.
exactly.
United States.
But I did just find an article that's from Commercial Property Executive. And it's lists the top 5 metros for industrial deliveries in the first half of 2025. Kansas City is number 2. Yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting. So if you want to see this article, it said, they call this the dark horse. And they said year to date as of June, developers delivered 10.6 million square feet of industrial space across 13 properties. So that's a staggering leap from 2.9 million square feet same time last year. So things are picking up.
It's interesting you bring that up. It's one of the questions I'll have on talking to my insurance guy this year is whether he's got any coverage for California. If he does, I'm gonna drop him.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Simple as that. Well, I'll take care of people in Kansas get knocked down by a tornado, but I'll be damned if I'm gonna pay for people in
Yeah.
Florida and
Exactly.
California.
Yeah, I agree.
So. Anyway, I was gonna say, Harlan, maybe you could help her out with that. Can you bring one of those big black on? Yeah. It'd be very popular.
Apparently we know how to mix them.
That was for the golfer.
Yeah.
Other upcoming, I just was gonna let you know, I'm going to KEDA's conference. That is the Kansas Economic Development Association conference next week. It is a conference that involves all economic developers in the state of Kansas and legislation at the state level. We get a legislative update. We get some of the sessions are going to be site selection trends in the Midwest, AI integration, infrastructure and wastewater panel, creative local incentive panels and roundtable discussions, and energy diversity. So, I mean, I know that's a lot of information, but I thought I wanted you to kind of know what kind of things we're learning. We're hearing best practices from, hearing from our legislation. Make sure that I'm hitting, okay, the next thing under the LCDC report is the lot purchase. Did you want to
Yeah,
say something?
as you well know, we've talked about this several times. Happenberg is going to sell that lot back to us, and hopefully by next month, we'll be able to sign everything we need to sign. So that was just a call back that we put in that lot that they never finished. He's kind of lost control of that company, some outsider, some other people, I should say. So he seemed to be willing to give back to us for what we paid for him.
I think we ought to make sure we do that by the book.
Yes.
Make sure we get proper title work, somebody reviewing that title work. And there's no liens or encumbrances on that.
And it's not due until March. I mean, the contract wouldn't, but since he couldn't get all the permits and everything done between now and March, we reached out to him early and he said, sure. So that will work on. Hopefully by next month, we'll be able to get that signed off on.
So then would it be acceptable for you all to vote on allowing us to engage Tim Gerard, the lawyer that previously worked on the sale of the property, to help us again?
I would recommend that we get it, since he drafted the original contract, he'll know all the clawback and the routine of that.
So
I
we'll
would
make sure.
recommend that we get it right, and I would make that motion to engage It's going to engage Tim Gerard to prepare a contract to repurchase the property from, well, it's not even Travis, but it's not him.
Bird Holdings.
Bird Holdings.
We need to authorize the purchase to a property of 7,000.
Yeah, Dave said.
Yes, yeah, you're probably right. You need to do that first.
What's that?
We probably need to authorize to
Yeah.
purchase the property for
We did that.
$12,000 too.
I guess it's not, so we did.
Yeah.
I think I just informed you, gave you a heads up before the meeting in an email to the board. I just said, hey, we're gonna discuss
Just
this.
sent the letter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's
I would
also
make a
authorize
motion to
repurchase
back as-
first and then
So we put them together,
just put them together, okay?
authorize the
Yes,
purchase and use
Okay.
10,
Did you catch that?
Okay.
Negotiate everything.
Okay, we had a motion and a second. Is all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Just for some of you that may not understand what property we're talking about a lot in the Urban Hess Business Center. There's a map right there.
Right there.
Yep.
Lot 17.
So the Port Authority sold it in 2022, I think it was, to Travis Pappenberg, actually IST at that time. And there was a stipulation in the sale agreement that he needed to build a building within 4 years, I think it was. And he isn't planning to do that, so he's agreeing to sell that back at the same price that he purchased it at.
We talked about this earlier. It's typical clawback. The whole idea here is why wait until March when it would actually come effective and get it back quicker, we can market it quicker. He had no objection to that. So. Thanks for that, guys.
The next thing under my report, but is the letter, the support of asking for moving the date up for K-5, but I think you want to include that in your regional transportation study. Okay. I mean, basically, we had, or Greg had asked us to ask the board to, with the K-5 alignment, it's scheduled for, you probably give a
Yeah,
better.
it's right now it's scheduled for 2031, 2032. And speaking with Senator Clem, he said, I really would like to see that get moved up, or it's very important. And so Jeff had asked, write a letter basically to the representatives, senators, to Calvin Reed, Secretary Reed, to the governor, trying to encourage them to move that up due to the importance of the project. And also because of the development that's happening along McIntyre and the city of Lansing. I know some of the projects haven't been approved, but something's going to happen in that area. So, in addition, that intersection at K7 and McIntyre is going to continue to see a lot of pressure put on it. And there's going to be, I hate to say it, I'm afraid there's going to be some bad accidents there. There's a lot of crossing traffic and it's not a good intersection. So this was a letter that I worked with Bill Knoll and AI, and we all came up with it. And so I,
Great
with
tool.
Bill's presented it to the county commissioners yet or not. We were gonna submit it to the county commissioners and also to the cities and ask them if they would also send the same letter to the representatives to support it. So,
Absolutely.
And LCDC did go ahead and do that.
okay.
Okay.
And I think the timing with the consult meetings coming in October, I think now is probably a good time to bring that up too. So.
Good.
Need a motion to
It's already.
support. Do we need to approve it or just do it?
It's already done.
Okay.
They've already been mailed.
It was not last month.
Great.
Greg was tied up under his guise, so to speak.
You signed it.
I know. I walked in here, Jeremy's checks, walked in last time, here's a stack of letters, okay. They put a stamp at that point.
It's under my report, but I think you probably should talk about it. The funding letter, the request for funding from the county, Board of County Commission.
Showed up, and everybody's seen a copy of it and everything, we've been requested to. Gladys County, it wasn't signed, but it came to the county requesting $500,000 of our funds to be given back to the county for development of Leavenworth Business Park. I obviously, I'm just a person sitting in the chair, I hope they'll approve that sort of thing, or would not be interested in continuing that at this point. It's open for discussion. Mike, if there anything you'd like to add?
I can agree with it.
Okay.
May I clarify?
When you didn't sign it.
Yeah.
May I clarify that? It was a little confusing because at the Board of County Commission meeting, what the motion Stephen made, as I understood, was that that funding would go into a fund specifically for a future business park. Now, the letter just, I think it states general economic development initiatives. But nonetheless, it's still 500,000 that they're requesting.
Mike has just reiterated what I felt, in the sense that he didn't sign it, he wasn't. Yeah, there were some discrepancies.
Yeah, there's three too. I understand why they're coming. There was a certain thing, because we're all trying to, the button heads, we're all trying to get more economic growth and love the county, but to take away funding that we've already given you, and you guys are on such a short rope as it is, I didn't see that was a thing to do. What bothered me more than anything was, and I made it known, is a lot of times when we talk about this stuff, I like to put it on the agenda to follow out. But I just gone through an RHID got turned down, so I was kind of emotional, that it wouldn't pass. So I didn't catch it in time, because usually I would have said as chair, hey, we need to talk about this, then we need to get the players back in front of us. Before I got to that, the motion was already made, but I'm making it very clear to everybody that I did not support this move. I still don't.
The question?
Sure.
About the Port Authority money that we would have in that fund, did it all come from the county, or did it come from benefits of the city provided, then the city of Lansing and the city of Tonganoxie?
Well, it would have been from the county, but also land sales, other things before me. But this.
I didn't think it all
city-
came from the
yeah.
county, but I just was asking that, throwing that out.
Yeah, big question.
That's my only question.
No, it's kind of interesting, this, you're sitting, we just had a request here, that Lisa showed me for a labor study, we're due for that again. And, do we fund that, what do we do, and I'm not putting this up for vote, I'm just saying that we're not getting funded by the county. At this point, county interested in that.
Well, how many years did we pay for that VA project? 10 years at 50 grand a year?
Good point.
That came out,
These are
of Port Authority.
these are things that we don't talk about normally because we've been doing it for so long, but these are things that we need to make perhaps the populace more aware of. These are things that we pay for in the county out of this before they kind of shut our funds off and everything. Who's gonna pay for these things? We don't get our funding, but nonetheless, no. Just that.
No, I totally get it, guys. I see this, and I see they were in a front from, I think the one of the things, and I can't speak for all the county commissioners. I think one of the issues is, most of the county commissioners that I know of want somebody on the executive board, and I don't think they're willing to move. Now, I, for one, am willing to sit down and we talk about it. I think Harlan even brought up an idea a couple of weeks ago. But I don't know if this is gonna be funded or not, but I am certainly not gonna suggest that you give anything back, no matter where it came from.
Well, you're talking about LCDC and not Port Authority.
Yeah, I know, but to me, they're joint to help.
Yeah.
They do a lot of things together that they need each other, and that one, so when I look at it, I know there's separate things. And I the money started filling down for the Port Authority, LCDC, but you guys are really joined to help. And we don't fix this, it's gonna be disaster for Leavenworth County. My 2 cents.
Well,
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, we need to entertain a motion. We've seen this, we've all had this in front of us for over a month now. For parts, we need to have a motion in a second.
So do we make a motion to not do it, or a motion and then everybody votes no on it?
It is before us, they're asking, so we can simply say, I think it's enough of that vote, it's all. All in favor?
I think you ignore as well. I'm gonna get the motion to ignore a letter.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at.
There is no motion. Yeah, we just.
There doesn't need.
That's kind of what I was getting at, yeah.
Since it came to
I'm
us.
thinking it would be in the best interest though to let the county commissioners, and I'm only one, know that you acted on it and you don't, if that's what you feel, you don't believe that is something we should be doing. Ignoring is one thing, but we keep dividing ourselves further apart. I just like to see a motion made, deny, approve, whatever you want to do.
You wanna make that motion, Mike?
Make a motion to deny.
Second.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I would like to comment on that.
I'm sorry, though, I didn't know
At the end of the day, this Port Authority, who is the board we are made up of, or we not only represent the county, but we're representing 4 other cities in the county and
Mhm.
all those taxpayers that live in those cities. That also, as far as I know, my tax dollars that I pay, more of my money goes to county than goes to the city. And so I think it's our job as board members, and we've appointed some by the county, some by the cities. Is to do economic development for all 5 of those entities. And that's really what my council discussed last night at the meeting, is that the purpose, what we felt the purpose of Leavenworth County Port Authority was the involvement and inclusion of 5 entities to work together as a team. And this taking money out of that team doesn't seem to support the work of the cities independently. It doesn't seem to. I don't know that it is, or what the purpose or the underlying facts are behind it. Mike, sorry you're in the position that you're in. I appreciate the years of service that you've given. And I really do. I'm sorry you're in that position. But I think it's what Mike said just a second ago, that we gotta figure out a way to work this out. Because in the long term, we'll be one of the few, if not the only county that's in the metro area that is not supported by some type of economic development activity that's focused and intended to be team effort, all going the same direction versus going multiple direction or no direction. I don't know that answer, so I vote that we deny that request, and we really gotta find a way to solve what the issues are and get them behind us so we can move forward. I go back to one thing, and I'm sorry for pontificating, but doing that at the city council meeting as well. When we had the economic summit that you put on, I don't remember the name of the gentleman who was there, but he was building large buildings. Warehouses all throughout the metro in Leavenworth. When he said something that really stuck with me is Leavenworth County is the only county in the metro that has not gotten over. That I didn't let that sink in until later, and you think about that, that's not very good. We're the only county that didn't get that. Well, we all have to look at ourselves, look in the mirror, see, what did we do to not help that? Once we get that past that, I think we probably get some resolution, but anyways. That's my nickel, so.
If I could throw a penny in here, looking at this from a longer term perspective, I've always, in front of county commissioners at one point, pointed out that our failure to be part of 435 is hamstrung us by our grandparents who made that decision ever since. And I ranked the failure of the county as a whole, but and I pick on Tonganoxie for voting down a company that was gonna come in here and pay 50% of property taxes. You know, we don't get these opportunities very often, and they don't knock on our door. They may knock on Johnson County, they may knock on Douglas County, but we don't get that. So that's the second large failure in a generation or 2 generations where we missed opportunities to make a big difference in Leavenworth County. We just can't afford to keep doing that. And it's gonna start small. We're not gonna get, I don't know, the next time the state's gonna pursue something like that for Leavenworth County. With what we did, no blame here. When it just happened, but we need to do a better job. The RHAD is all. You know as well as I do. I just read something in DeSoto where they're gonna put a big development right there along Kill Creek using RHAD financing. Once again, it's just a tool. It's nothing to be scared of. It's just a tool we use. But they're putting high dollar condominiums with RHAD fund in Leavenworth with RHAD funding. So it's just a tool. We can't be afraid of it. We got to do something for Leavenworth County. But on the other side of it, when people ask me directly, I say, just keep writing your property checks because they're gonna keep going up. So it's important the voters to understand what we're voting on too, when they turn those things down. They direct their representatives.
I'm hoping Leavenworth County at the last meeting, and Vanessa was a big supporter of mine, along with Willie Dub, to look at these things seriously. This RHID's kind of jumped on a lot of the school districts and county, and kind of surprised us a little bit. All my years, I wasn't that familiar with them because they didn't expand what we could do with RHID. But I think the first one that got shot down, and even the one I supported with, Greenemeyer, is just a starting point. I think people are starting to realize, I'm hoping, my nickel. I'm hoping that people are starting to realize that these can be used. Each one's different and they can be used at. Lansing's got 1% in front of them now that checks all the box on money going back to the schools, going back to the city, going back to the county. The sad thing is, you got 30 days to act on it because of the way they set it up. And one entity, one governing body can cancel it out, that being the school or that being the county. I'm hoping that we're getting a little more educated on these things and see that in the long run, it's an investment just like this, that it can carry forward. And if you don't, bottom line is keep voting the same people in. Don't expect any different answers from that. You have to make a change somewhere. So minority IDs, I know assuming Leavenworth, and I know there's a couple other cities got some work going through. I'm hoping we're getting past that and seeing what they really can do for the county. The 2 cents. And that's what I'll be supporting going forward. Now, each one's different. You get a 25-year one, or something goes outside the policy that we have in place, or policies the city of schools, then we gotta look at it. But every one of them should be looked at differently on what they bring back to the county and all this.
The only feedback I've got from some of those people is they don't understand why they were turned down, because there's no real guidance from the county, from the cities. Okay, what would you approve then?
Yeah.
So they would make their programs.
I think it's so against property tax, against tax, and y'all know county only receives property tax, we don't get sales tax unless we do a project, so we have to work on that. I'm not making excuses, it's just something I found out when I came on 5 years ago. But education too, that RHID that was down south in Lansing, we came at us, and I don't think people knew the right questions to ask to get the right answers. But now, since we're going through it, and we got a lot of them popping up, they're gonna continue to pop up. I think we're getting the answers that we need. We say, hey, look at each one, but some of these are really a good deal. They really will work out to help the county. You guys, we're too big of a county in the metropolitan area to be going backwards, and we just gotta step it up somehow.
Well, as part of, and once again, another nickel here, I don't mean to drag everybody out, we still got a little time. I read one of the commissioners had a article in the paper last Friday and talked about it. How developers have traditionally picked up all these costs, and they have, but that's, your parents' age, and 25, 30 years ago, we now to compete, we have to offer some of these incentives to get them back in Leavenworth County.
Years ago, they came out with native urbanization, and even with native commercial, which we're in dire need of, but you gotta put residents in the community. And there's other ways to get to what we're doing, but we've got just this mindset about us against them. Until we resolve that, we're gonna continue having some serious issues.
Yeah, I think, and I don't have a retail environment, but having worked in one, you gotta have people come through the door.
Yeah.
And they gotta have places to
Right.
live.
Well,
But you gotta have the businesses before you can get the houses.
in Leavenworth,
That's
now
the
we only
start.
have 20% of our budget is property tax, all the rest is sales tax.
We
So
don't
the
get
more
stuff.
people we can bring in,
Y'all can do that, but see.
the more rooftops we can bring in, the more we can bring in the sales tax.
Rooftops helps us as a property, as a county, we don't get to sell tax job there.
Right, that's true, but the cities all.
Oh, yeah,
helps
they're
us.
collecting that, we had a roof fall in the courthouse, but it's coming around. I really believe it, maybe I'm not optimist, it's coming around, and people are waking up that we're gonna have to do some of these things, or we're gonna see people continue to go over the survey and leave us.
Right.
But the rooftop, they all come together, rooftops and commercial. One of the best things that Lansing did when I was out there was, we got a grant for about $17 million, and we did that turn lane in the middle of the street. We had 16 businesses as soon as that was acknowledged and approved by the governor and the people that were knocking on our doors. And they're fast food. A lot of them, when you first start off, you get fast food, then you get sit down. But all that just, and so we gave them neighborhood revitalization, 5% going to county.
Right.
And then after years go by, all part of that,
Comes
after
back.
years go by, it goes back to the city. And when I left, it was starting to go back to the city, so 10 looked good. So, because it was all coming back to the city at the time. But there's gotta be other ways to do this too. And this, I came on the Port Authority to try to help. And I'm telling you folks, sometimes I wonder if it was a mistake, because I just don't know if we're getting anywhere. That's just my gut feeling.
Well, we brought up the K7 and McIntyre interchange. we should be ahead of that. I think it's inevitable it's gonna happen, but what do we have? We're gonna plan for another light. I remember coming up this way as a kid, it was a 2-lane road. A 2-lane on both sides, but a 2-lane road, and look what it's shown now, and originally designed with a frontage road on either side.
Yep.
So there could be K7 with no lights. Well, that's gone by the wayside, so we need to consider the fact, we're gonna have a light there. It's gonna take some of the pressure off in Lansing.
Yeah.
It'll slow traffic down and everything like that. We need to prepare in advance for that. We need to start putting plans in place for that, so we can be able to get out. In my opinion, but we're a bit off the schedule here. Anybody else want to throw a couple nickels in before we move on?
Sorry, I didn't.
I think I've had enough.
Slow you down.
No, you're not. We're actually been a pretty good time, so, but if there was somebody who wanted to throw this, please throw it in. Then we're up to Mr. Cos, one of our last addresses. Yeah,
One more thing
Oh, I'm sorry.
before we end, this labor study. I didn't get a chance to get this to you. It's a proposal from Mark Snelson. So I'm just bringing it to you to get you to start thinking about this. In the past, we have paid Mark Snelson to do a labor study. And in it, we've found out information like 67.9% of our resident workforce is leaving every day for work. Which is, it sounds negative, but it could also, we've also used it for marketing purposes. It's 67.9% of the resident workforce that an incoming company can capture for workforce. Let's see what else. I'm drawing a blank for a second here. It's over 2 million people in the labor basin, which means within a 45-minute radius, there are over 2 million people that are in that labor pool. And that's because we are uniquely able to reach 3 metropolitan areas, Kansas City, Lawrence, and Topeka. Those are things that have been very valuable when we respond to RFIs, because as you know, that's one of our main jobs. We get those RFIs from either the Department of Commerce or KCADC or directly from the company, and they'll ask us a lot of questions. And one of those categories is about labor. So, and they value information from labor studies because they can trust that it's right. So, in the very beginning, 2018, I think, when we first purchased a labor study, the first initial one is like $20,000. And today it would be more, of course, but now every 2 years is what they say is the best time to update that information. Ours is 3 years old. I did inquire a year ago, and then this company was going through some restructuring and asked me to wait a little bit. So we're almost to 3 years. So they have sent us a proposal for a couple of different things. I will send this out to you. I want to look at it a little bit more. I haven't had a chance. But then I'm gonna tell you the base cost is $6,000, or it's just an update for the existing study. Okay. Or you can pick an optional data dashboard, which is just $5,000 So I will send this to you, and you can cruise on it. We'll make a decision maybe next month if you want, on whether or not you want to pursue this.
right, to re-emphasize your point in case somebody missed it. When somebody approaches us, this is information they're asking us to provide. They can't go without it. So.
Well, and you also share with our partners as well, they need to use it.
Absolutely.
So if we don't do it, who's gonna do it?
Yeah.
Or we're just not gonna do it.
And what the cool thing about the labor study that they did an entire Leavenworth County one, but then they picked out for each of the 4 cities and did
And
one
it makes a
based on.
difference on
Yeah.
Texas County, I can use that past one, it's an important document, at least from a city perspective, it would be not true. For the county as a whole.
Of course, Vernon's not here. If you look at Baser being damn near 100% travels outside of the county. How does that affect the data for everywhere else and everything like that? So, and that's what they're looking at when they come in here.
Right.
So, no, it's not something we can skip to, just, yeah. So,
There's one final thing under my report, but I will leave that to you as well, Doug. I think that's better. Greg's.
yes, I was gonna say, we received a letter. I wanted to turn down, tore it up. I'm sure they. I agree with that. I don't know what to say, Greg, but it took us by surprise. I was glad to hear it was for the reasons you did, not the reasons I was afraid of. You're gonna be missed. I don't know how else to tell you. This is, I mean, you've had a huge impact. When we lose that sort of leadership, we will be in a void for a while. And I hope the people that you're a Leavenworth County representative, Leavenworth City. City, I hope they give thought to the person that you're gonna pick to replace him. And he can't be replaced.
Can't be replaced, yeah.
He can't be replaced, but nonetheless, that comes to us with the same base of knowledge or something like that that can help us out, because we value the diversity of the Port Authority and even LCDC, we value the diversity in that, because trust me, decisions aren't made in here 100%. There, we have discussions, we have arguments, they're not that drag out fairly, but he's guided us over the last 3 or 4 years, especially with labor study. In fact, we brought this up at the LCDC meeting, when I was a guest with him, that we're open to anybody to take over his position on that. Obviously, may not have his background, maybe they do, but we need somebody who's willing to take on that mantle we push hard for Leavenworth County. And we're open to open ideas, but you enjoyed your, I'm not gonna say retirement, because I know you're not gonna do it. Kids kick you out of it, I know that. But
when Paul Kramer asked me to serve another 4 years, I told Paul, I said, I'll go another 2 years. And when I turn 65, it's time I start getting off some of this. I've been in for 25 to 30 years. Obviously, there needs to be some new ideas. There's a lot of people in the community that feel there needs to be new ideas and new direction. And so I think it's time for me to step back and give an opportunity for some of those new ideas. And I do have some personal and professional commitments that I want to make and continue to. Got a couple, 3 grandkids that I want to spend a little more time with too. So not that this is taken away from that, but it's been very enjoyable. Met a lot of good people. Keeps me in tune with the community. I am gonna miss that. And I told Lisa, if there's anything I can do, questions or whatever, I'm always here. I'm not going anywhere. So if you call and say, do you remember? I'll probably say no, but I'll try. Thank you to everybody that has supported me.
Amen, brother.
Here said you, sir.
I'll remind you, there's always a seat.
Yeah.
Our meetings are open, there's always a seat.
Okay.
You can bring Connie down too.
I'm sure she's wanting to do that.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, he loves trying.
We're trying.
But thank you again, Greg. We appreciate it.
You're
You
welcome.
reluctantly accept your. Yeah.
Thank you.
And Nancy, you guys will let us know then, if something prepared.
Absolutely, yes.
Appreciate that.
That's a big shoe to fill.
No, it's gonna be hard. We'll look for recommendations too.
Yeah, we have, we'll have, issues with voting and what have you, we'll have a full complement. So, not gonna press things. We do have a little something that made me sign it, but I'm sure it should be on there. You can hang it on the wall. Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. I didn't know what you drank. It would have been attached to a bottle. Dress better if I told you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Okay, now we're gonna start some work out of it. Would you like to talk about the regional transportation plan?
Sure. Not a lot going on. 10th Avenue and Wilmot, I was out for bid tomorrow at 1 o'clock, so, should be getting some prices on that. I think sounds like it's gonna come in about what you guys thought, so, that should be good. Consult meeting next month. Again, that's very important. It's, we have a presence there. October 21st, Tuesday, in the afternoon. There should be more information on that. The other thing I didn't put on here, but I would probably mention, and I know the county's gonna talk about this tomorrow, but the regional transportation program study, that was completed in 2022. It's probably worth considering whether that should be updated. Those studies, when they get about 4 or 5 years old, kind of like your labor study, they start getting dust on them. And KDOT and the Fed aren't gonna pay as much attention to it. There's been some things that have changed in the community. We mentioned K7 and McIntyre. You know, Parallel's been improved, but I would think we could go in there and maybe freshen that study up, and it might be something Commissioner Reed, Commissioner Smith want to talk to Bill Knoll about when he makes the presentation tomorrow too, of if there's support to freshen that up, so. But that is very important. I think it has helped us in the past, but we've got something to give the state on and say, hey, you're kind of on the same page. And anything we can do in this community to get us on the same page is gonna get us a lot farther. So,
Correct me if I'm wrong here, since we have two commissioners. I'd like to have both here, that October 21st would be a great day to show up and put your sticker on that board for us in person if it was possible.
I've been through those things as my old job a few times, so, and it's pretty interesting, really, to do that. And I'm more thinking, wait, the more to show up, they get more attention.
Greg, I haven't seen the time yet, but I think they announced that one's gonna be at Great Wolf Lodge, is that
Yeah.
correct? So it's pretty close.
so you can go to the water park after.
Yeah.
Would be pretty.
I'm just gonna push people in the pool.
Anything else, Greg?
No, that's it.
Thank you. Okay,
I have a question.
yes, sir. Sorry.
So with Greg stepping down, who's gonna take on this effort? This is monumental. This is,
You volunteer?
no, the transportation's not my gig. Side development, yes, transportation, no. Cause we talked about this at exec the other day and didn't know if, Mike Spickelmeyer or Bill Knoll or somebody to that effect would be, you know, or even Brian Faust, somebody tied to these transportation projects that would step up. I don't know. I don't think you have a true appreciation for the amount of effort that's in this document. Every month we sit down and look at it.
Yeah,
So
keeps it in front of us, keeps us fresh.
maybe that's what you make his last action is he has to find the adequate. Amend your motion.
Keep
Well,
us at the
We
table.
talked about this as the exact, the LCDC thing and everything, but I'm looking where we've got, whoever we have in county that's willing to step up. You know, they'll have our support, and that's typically what they can ask for, whatever support we can offer, but
Yeah, we need to do that.
we were lucky to have somebody who's skilled in both.
So,
So if anybody's got any ideas, please, and don't reach out to them individually, we'll reach out to them, whatever it takes. But yeah, and you wouldn't mind maybe bringing them up to speed.
No, not a problem. I'll give them the Word document. That's why I sent it to Mary.
Don't let them off there.
It'll scare them right away.
That's exactly.
I'm sure.
We can-
LCDC
We can talk about it at infrastructure committee to see if amongst us we can figure it out. Bill Knowles on that committee,
Good idea.
the city.
Yeah.
Mike, others.
And we put the industrial site committee on here, but I don't think we have any action in it.
No update. But I would like to say that the commissioner that raised concern that effort wasn't going on, that's a volunteer-led effort. By volunteers that already give away hundreds of hours to this organization, just so you know. So,
And the priority got changed to try to
Yes.
find funding sources instead of
Yeah.
trying to find an industrial.
so there's still a passion there to do it, not enough hours in the day.
It wasn't me.
I agree, Roman.
No, but and of course, along those lines, since he brought it up, a parallel, we are down a staff member now. She we lost a member. So you're gonna see a few changes, and it's really up to you to describe if you want to, but there will be some things that we're not gonna be able to follow up on. That a third member of our group used to do. So we try not to stress them, we're trying to leave them, but we are gonna have to walk away from some of that because of staffing issues,
I
unfortunately.
can only imagine the stress around here with what's been going on such a long time. Hate to see her go, but Lisa and Mary have been putting on this for a while, and we still haven't got the act together and figured it out, which is, it's a shame.
But just so we have it out there for people to watch and everything to understand, there will be some of these projects we just can't continue because we don't have the staffing to do so.
Yeah.
Yep. You wanna bring us up to date on the Golden Shovel campaign then?
I don't know, I'm gonna look up the date of the next meeting. You all get, the board all gets a invite now. You are on that list, so you can join that. I think it's like the first Tuesday of the month. I can't remember. So this is the second month. We've done an update meeting with Golden Shovel. One of the things that they've done is it's shown this dashboard. Last month's it was almost a full month. August is a full month of information. So they just they do two different, this is the one for Facebook. So the impressions over 138,000, reach is over 88,000. You can see all that information. They have indicated that we have really good numbers. They're really happy with the numbers that we have. It's about a half and half. The people that are interacting with these are women and men, 56% women and 42% men. And age distribution, given that what Facebook kind of goes towards, generally over 65 are the ones that are interacting on this platform. If you'll scroll down, Mary, this one is for the Google ads. These are the ones that kind of follow you as far as, depending on what you're interested in. If you scroll it up just a little bit more, so you can see, again, great numbers. They've assured me, I don't really know, I don't know enough about these numbers, but I asked them specifically, how do these numbers, the impressions, click-through rate, and this CPC, which is, CPC is off of the play. They're apparently very good numbers, so. And in the bottom left corner, you can see that generally the people interacting or looking at this information are typically Leavenworth, kind of in the dark yellow there. You see Tonganoxie and Baser and Lansing's kind of connected, I think, there with Leavenworth. So that's where we're getting the information. So that's the social media. We went through all of the.
Social media question?
Yes,
about
yes,
that.
please.
I've clicked through some of those and I'm seeing valid questions going completely unanswered. That can't be doing the educational campaign. I mean, I answered one question when somebody asked about a port, and I said, well, it's not commonly known that ports also deal with roadways, railroads, and all this other, and then I got slammed, So I'm like, I'm not gonna do this, but to that point, it seems like somebody ought to be answering some of the questions that are popping up that are valid, because there's a couple series of comments that somebody asked a question, and then the next comment's like, oh, see crickets, and so it's like, I realize it's a tough world to play in, but I think if there's valid questions out there, somebody needs to be responding.
I agree.
And I would too. I don't play on Facebook. So
Yeah.
if these things get forwarded to me, I'll gladly reach out. Answer what I can or not reach out to somebody.
Could we collect them and
Well, I don't know, can they come from behind the scene?
I don't know.
we can respond to them as a group or a
That's what
board.
I'm thinking.
I had actually intended to do a lot more oversight on this, but I am literally out.
I mean, you could get in the
Seconds
weeds pretty
in
quickly
my
if you
day.
start battling people on.
Yeah, I don't think it's a get in the weeds, but it is at least answer simple questions and leave it at that.
I think we could, if we get somebody to forward that to the executive.
Or
committee.
add it to the FAQ sheet and then just hit a link to that every time they got us.
Oh, that's a
question.
good idea.
It's a good idea.
The members of the executive council, there might be members of the, the
So
executive
tell me
council.
your question again. so I-
Student panel that can answer that.
Just some of the comments that are coming up on social media.
But you asked me, what was the question? About, can it be,
Well, can Golden Shovel send you these questions? Could they be responding? Somebody who's monitoring all of this? Because at the end of the day, what are we getting out of it? If nobody's monitoring it, nobody's answering questions, I think you're damaging yourself.
I agree.
If,
They're not answering questions. I didn't know they weren't been answered.
I was trying to find one or two, but
Comments aren't very favorable.
what's that?
The comments are not very favorable.
No.
Yeah,
So
we
you
still
found a
need to be
couple?
answered.
I will bring that up at the next.
Yeah, well, you bring up an interesting point there. You don't want to get into an argument online.
No, don't do that.
No, but you could get real quick and waste a lot of time too, so.
Well, there's no question like, what have you brought here? And it's just going unanswered. I think I saw that somewhere.
Right. Or the
Yeah,
jobs.
if you do that, you could just have the link to all of.
Yeah, exactly. I
Projects.
mean,
that have been.
Because to me,
I
if
like
people
that
are engaging in it and
Yeah.
asking questions.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think that-
that,
I think that too.
you'd see it, then you wouldn't have to answer.
But,
I mean, we're fortunate to have a PIO that just does that,
Yeah.
Right.
but you don't, so that would be a good way to
Yeah.
have. To do that.
yeah, I run into people who don't realize we've been in place for 80 years.
Yeah.
You know, and what we've done in 80 years, not just, it's all about yesterday or tomorrow.
So other than the social media, we went through the social media things that are gonna come out next month in October. And I just made recommendations, very few on some of them that were, hashtags were wrong or something like that. So we went through all those. And you should be provided that information too, if you're interested in looking at that. The final thing was there's a gentleman on the staff that's writing articles that will be distributed throughout. One will be centric, Leavenworth County centric, one will be about, the city of Leavenworth, the city of Lansing, one will be about, each of the cities, so. Be looking out for those, they should be going out in October. And that's as much as I have for that.
I know,
I've seen emphasize like, Kevin Harlan son know about the correct response, getting the answers on those things. That we're just shooting ourselves in the foot if we're not, if somebody's not handling that. That is so important.
anything else then, till next month?
Good.
Okay, we have Nancy, Scott, you guys want to flip a coin? Nancy?
Let's go, okay.
Go ahead.
Alright.
Depends. Well, I don't think we have much of the central living project. We are expecting, a developer to close in Leavenworth Mall any day now. He's having communications issues with the attorney. Otherwise, everything seems to be fine there. He's already closed on Abel's. To some extent, and then,
That's great.
so we're, hopefully moving forward with that. The next step is to do a, application and pre-development study for the Star Bonds project, to get Star Bonds through. We have to get an application by the end of the year to the Department of Commerce. But so far that appears to be moving forward. So a lot of progress to go, but, just met with them yesterday. Signed a pre-development agreement, but he recently had surgery and he's kind of hopped up on drugs. We signed the wrong agreement, the wrong version. So we have to, so we sent him the new one, get him to re-sign it, so.
Understand that.
And on this report.
Yeah, he admitted to it, so we sent him the new one, and so we have to sign it, but that, once he gets that signed, then we'll set up, the studies and all that, so, that's pretty much all we have.
Very cool.
What's his background?
Development.
Oh,
He's the same developer that's working on the Salina Mall redevelopment project. He recently did the Star Wars project out in Colby, this, so but he's based out of World Park, so he's local.
Old campus would be around Pheasant hunting, I'm sure.
They just set that up.
I think it was like a dinosaur museum or something. Kind of dinosaur project.
Oh, I know what you're talking about, I know the sign, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Only joke because pheasant hunting in North and South Dakota, that's a major sport. That's all we got up there, they raise pheasants for that. Okay, let's see, Josh, you're sitting right there.
Here I am. Two next now, we're gonna, talk about RHID. Again, with Monroe Manor, 194 houses potentially, interesting project. We'll do the rezoning, the RHID for that. November 6th, we have a public hearing for a community improvement district for a retail shopping center in town center. And we already approved the site plan back in May or June, I think, actually. And so we're gonna find and close on the property then, to transfer that to the developer and junior box, 70,000 square feet.
Bring it in.
Thanks.
We'll see what happens. And that's all I've got.
George, you still there?
Yeah,
Maybe?
thanks, everyone. Couple quick updates on development projects. Last night at the city council meeting, we took the final step by passing an ordinance authorizing the issuance of 47 million in industrial revenue bonds for the DSM project. So that marks the 2-year cycle of construction and opening of the facility, and they're doing a fantastic job there. On the residential side, our Stone Creek RHID, which is the Roush Coleman project, they are pulling permits for the second phase of that project. So again, it's 140 homes. They pulled 67 building permits since last September, and plan to really plow forward with finishing that project. So the other thing I wanted to update, the city was able to adopt its 2026 budget, and very happy to report that the mayor and city council voted for another slightly over 1 mil reduction in the city tax rate. That makes slightly over 5 mils that the city's been able to reduce over the last 3 years budget wise. And so I think I know that sometimes we have an arrow on us because we use incentives to grow the community, but we're meeting the goals of the strategic plan that provides housing at all levels, diversifies the tax base. And to that end, maybe of interest to this group, currently Tonganoxie is at about a 80-20 split, 80% commercial or 80% residential, 20% commercial. When the Hills EDX expires, we'll be closer to nearly 60-40 split on that. And so I think that's a sign of a strong, healthy community. And I feel fortunate that policymakers in a small community like that are bullish and aggressive on having incentive policies that allow them to leverage any short-term issues for long-term gain and sustainable community. So thanks for the time.
Well, that's a real point, George. That 60-40 is probably closer to what Leavenworth should be, given all the government properties we have that we draw no money from. Or sales tax occasionally, but that's probably closer to it's gonna be, and we're at 90-10 now. In Leavenworth County. So, once again, stop throwing the nickels in there.
Can I make one comment that George didn't make, and that last night when we approved the bonds? An individual from the DSM was there, and he was a Tonganoxie resident. He used to work in the city. Now he doesn't have to travel. His director, I won't name names, I mean, he probably didn't want me up here saying that, but he's a director of safety, so that, and others live in town that now don't have to export to Johnson County or to Topeka or to Lawrence and can stay in town, and that, you don't see that. And the second piece that George had mentioned is that one thing that you don't see on the books is a 200 some odd $1,000 donation from Hills that opened a dog park that was completely packed last night. And so that was a freebie. That was, I hate to say freebie, that doesn't sound right. But that was a gift from Hills for their appreciation for coming to town. And so we're getting benefit, the citizens of Tonganoxie. It's just amazing how packed. I don't have dogs, but there was a million of them. So that was all a gift. So I just want to share that. Those are things you just don't see when somebody can now stay at home and work, or you see a gift from for improved life amenities. That's cool.
Commissioner, you joined us today. There's no reason you have to sit back there and talk.
On the sidelines,
Huh?
my favorite spot.
You're more than welcome to interject if you like. Here's a shot.
Good job, George. Oh,
Would entertain the motion if we're done.
Leavenworth, get Leavenworth down,
We didn't have any representatives.
County?
Leavenworth County.
Down around here.
I thought you'd interjected everything.
I really did. Thank you for pointing that out.
Not a problem. My final thing.
Then I guess we're adjourned. I'll make the last one.
Second.
Thank you.
No discussion.
Hey, that's I think it was Mark. Look into that item. I'll get Jamie on the car. I have the answer.
All. There are young people in there.
Good job.